Hello everyone, it's Mark. Welcome back. In this video I'm going to talk to you about the Baker Act and when does the 72-hour window begin. In other words, when does that clock start to tick? So that is a really interesting question, and the simple answer is it begins when the facility says it begins. That's sort of the reality. Now the idea is obviously if you get taken to a Baker Act facility, it's supposed to begin really when sort of the Baker Act has been initiated. So if a police officer has made a determination that you meet criteria and says, I'm Baker Acting you, in theory that's when the clock should start to tick. But let's say it takes a couple hours to get you to a facility. The facility is going to say, well, once you've been processed and admitted, that's when the 72-hour window begins to open. That's when the clock starts to tick. But what happens if you've been taken to a hospital? Perhaps you needed medical clearance. Perhaps you were injured. So the statute also allows for a period of time for you to be, quote, medically cleared. So let's say you get taken to a hospital. Perhaps you've suffered an overdose of some kind, and you're kept for 24 hours at a hospital. Does the clock start to tick then? And the simple answer is no. The medical clearance section of the statute basically stops the clock from beginning to tick. And if it has started to tick, it stops it. Okay, and then it only starts to tick again. That window only starts to open again once you've been medically cleared, and now you're sort of in that period of time where you're supposed to be assessed and stabilized. And so I certainly understand the frustration, and it was a really great question, and I hear it a lot. When does the 72-hour window start to tick? Well, it starts to tick and starts to open when the facility says so. When somebody says you've now been Baker Acted, that's when it's supposed to start. But sometimes that window gets stretched. Sometimes that time period can get abused, and that's one of the things that we help to address. So it was a really great question, and I certainly understand the frustration from the person who asked it. But it begins when somebody who is of authority to enforce this thing says the time has started now. Great question. Keep them coming. See you in the next video. Bye bye.